Good morning, everyone. I am Maya with TMC for Seniors, and joining me this morning is Gina Murphy-Darling with Mrs. Green's World. We love having Mrs. Green here. She always does a fabulous job with all of our presentations, and today, as you know, in the month of October, we have been focusing on nutrition, and she is going to be talking about how to keep it clean when you know how, what veggies, fruits and veggies should you be choosing. It's an important topic. We know so much these days sort of about pesticides, and we want to be able to choose the proper fruits and veggies. And so Gina's going to be here to sort of share all of her knowledge. She has a great vast of knowledge about the environment. And so we're pleased to have you here, Gina. So welcome.
I am thrilled to be here, and you can tell by the big grin on my face. And I think the best place to start is by setting the intention. And the intention for this presentation is just to inspire, educate, inform, and not alarm. Because by the end of it, you might think if you eat a grape, it has a whole can of pesticides on it, and that is absolutely not the truth. But we really want to give you information because information is power. And then you can make wise choices. And I am open for any questions. You can always contact me after it's over because we do a lot of research. And I think it's interesting, Maya, after all these years, every time we redo this presentation and get updated information, we learn things as well. So we're learning together. And if you're ready, without further ado, we can get on with the show.
That sounds great. And actually, just before we start, I do want to remind everyone that we are watching today from either YouTube Live or from one of our Facebook pages. If you have a question, you can go ahead and leave those in the comment boxes for us, and Gina will answer those at the end. Thank you. Go ahead and get started,
to the best of her knowledge. And if not, I'll get back to you. I promise. Maya knows that. Okay, so here we go. We're going to talk about keeping it clean, and there are really important things to know when you're choosing your fruits and veggies. And these are really great tips and will help you on a healthier path if you're not on it already. So a little bit about me, very little. I am the founder of Mrs. Green's World, very proud of that. We are environmental educators. I have an unbelievably great team that helps make things happen. And disruptor for good is a euphemism for troublemaker, which my mother called me when I was little, but she always said, you're going to put it to good use someday. So, and I am indeed a champion for Mother Earth every single day in every way that I can be, because heaven knows Mother Earth needs some champions in these times. And I always like to add, I'm a Jersey girl, because you might hear some accent in there. And yes, indeed, I am a Jersey girl. Okay. As I said, we are a multimedia global education platform, and we really like to talk about the solutions part. We're not trying to get people engaged. We're trying to get them to act. And we raise the awareness in every aspect of sustainability. You can read that on the slide. We love training. We love interviewing expert leaders and scientists from around the world. And what we try to do is make science real and relatable. So we leverage the experts and the way they speak in science, and we get trustworthy information so that you can really see what we're doing and how we're going about it. And we like to tell people about the background of what we're all up to. So to eat or not to eat, that is the question. And the best part of this presentation is just a reminder that study after study after study says that 5 servings of fruits and vegetables can significantly increase your health and life expectancy. And believe me, after we worked on this slide presentation, I said to my husband and my daughter, I've got to pump up the volume on getting all those things in myself because I don't do it. And some studies show that 7 or more servings reduce the risk of premature death by 42%. So yes, eat right. And only 1 in 10 Americans is eating the recommended amount. And full disclosure, I'm one of the 9 that isn't. But that's what inspires me. I ate much better yesterday than I did the day before. So your takeaway should be eat more fruits and vegetables, whatever. even if they're on the dirty dozen list, which we're going to get to, it's better to eat them than not. And that is absolutely the truth. So we're not going to do Q&A because of the time, but do you know which foods are safe to eat that are non-organic? You can buy them and not have any worry, even though they were sprayed with pesticides, and which aren't. And the answer is probably not, because who asked that question? Until I was Mrs. Green, I just bought produce. I didn't research it and see what the environmental working group said, and there was toxins on my carrots. What are you talking about? So the research is ever changing. We used to have the environmental working group as the be all and end all. There's lots more research bodies out there investigating pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides on our fruits and vegetables. And, you know, I was seeing this thing on TV last night about you're just one Google search away, making Google a verb, which is causing a lot of trouble, but I want to stay on track. So the answers change. That's why it's good once in a while to check on the research. So we're bringing you the latest and greatest that we have up to including about 9 o'clock last night. Okay, this is important to me because the USDA does tests. I personally think they're not as strict as they can be, but I'm Mrs. Green, so I'm entitled to that opinion. And what they do is classify some of the pesticides as human carcinogens, causing cancer. And many of the ones that we allow are banned in the European Union since 2009. And what is troublesome to me is that many of the research that the USDA did found some of those toxic pesticides in apples, cherries, grapes, and kale samples. And I'm just full disclaimer, I don't ever have to worry about the kale samples because that's not going to hit my plate. I have other choices. I'm not a kale person. Then look at this. 90% of samples of strawberries, apples, cherries, spinach, nectarines, and kale tested positive for residues of 2 or more pesticides. And as I said, and I want to keep reminding you, this is not cause for alarm. This is cause for heightened awareness. Because the next line, when I first started doing research on this, 18 different pesticides on kale, and that's the USDA. That's not an investigative group. And samples of kale and spinach, which I happen to like, had 1.1 to 1.8 times as much pesticides by weight than any other crop tested. And that just, there's reasons that the farmers use it. And it's not judgment on my part, but I think we have to get to a cleaner, greener way of farming our produce. And we need some policy for that. Okay, the dirty dozen and the clean 15. I just think you can't beat it because every year the environmental working group, who takes no government money, who takes no industry money, does extensive searches, and all they do is the science. They pick the 12 fresh fruits that you should buy organic whenever possible, and then they say the clean 15 foods that don't have to be organic. And here's the list, people, the dirty dozen. And I hope that after this presentation, you go on their website and read more about the research, because that will tell you more about how they do it, what the study entails. There's an executive summary that's awesome. But these are among the things that I like. Most of the things on this list I actually like. And I'm saying that because I'm a picky eater, and I know I have some friends on this, but these are things that are definitely common everyday items that make it in your grocery cart every day. So those are the dirty dozen, which means they had the highest amount of pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides on them of all of the vegetables they studied and fruits, many, many, many. So that's the bad news. The good news is, wait, not yet. I got ahead of myself. This shocked me because I have a granddaughter who's 17 months old. And you can imagine all of us probably gave our kids raisins. They don't choke on them. They like them. They're a little bit sweet with natural sugar. And as soon as my daughter, who's helping me on my research, found this, she called my other daughter and said, "Em, what kind of raisins are you giving Rooney?" Well, it happens that my daughter, who has the baby, is a really very informed mother. And she really does organic. That baby never gets chocolate, which, you know, I've talked to her about that, but she's really no sugar. So look at this, and this gets me upset, okay? The conventional raisin samples analyzed 99% tested positive for at least two pesticides. So most of them contained 13 and one sample had 26. And I just want to do that red flag because raisins are good for you, but I highly recommend it to spend the extra money. And I say to people, give up a latte and buy organic raisins if it's a little bit more. Give up a serving of meat or something to be able to have it fit your budget. Okay. Here's the Clean 15. And I was doing the happy dance because I love avocados, I love sweet corn, I love pineapple. Everybody that I know uses onions. All of these are safe to buy that don't have to be USDA certified organic. And I'm going to say that a lot, I hope. It's USDA certified because just because it says organic, I'll repeat that throughout the presentation. It doesn't mean it is because they can make the claim, but USDA certified has to go through the process, be vetted, and then it wins the label. So you have to be really vigilant as a consumer. So you can take a look at that. And fortunately, I do eat a lot of those. I mean, I'm the pickiest eater on the planet, people, full disclosure. So these are things that I like. Not so sure about the frozen peas, but these are very highly consumed fruits and vegetables by Americans. So this is good news. You don't have to buy organic. And they even have more, on their website that will say these are pretty safe. And on the Dirty Dozen, it say, well, these didn't make the top 12, but it would be best to buy these organic as well. And I always think it's really important, what is your why? Well, a lot of you, I wish I could see some of you because you came to my presentations in the before times. I recognize your faces, you're staying on top of your health. And it's no surprise that heart disease is a leading cause of death in the United States. And that's according to the Center for Disease Control. And our heart is the important job. It's not a very, very important job. It's the job because it keeps all the wheels on the rest of our body and the bus going round and round. Our circulatory system, pumping blood, nutrients, all of that is very important. And it removes things, carbon dioxide and waste. So we're going to give you a few heart healthy produce picks that we highly recommend. Leafy greens. I mean, look at this list. And I hesitated about edamame because there is some research on that for women who are still in childbearing age. But I'm not sure, since this is a TMC for seniors, if you're planning on having a baby, that's another whole news item. So just my sick sense of humor. But these are really heart healthy foods for lots of reasons. And some of them I absolutely love. I think they're very popular. So yes, let's go with that. Now, this is a tricky one. This is another slippery slope. Washing vegetables can be very good. And these are very clear instructions. Wash with cold water, throw away the outer leaves, pick off those leaves that look ugly anyway, clean your hands and utensils. We all know about cleaning our hands for 20 seconds now, so it's more likely that we have clean hands. And really, I think this is kind of funny, but it said it in what we read. Don't use soap or detergents because that is not good to ingest either, unless you're me and you're using an eco-friendly dish soap and detergent. So these are important things. You can wash it, it does help. But for example, something like celery, which is so porous, the pesticides go in. So it doesn't help at all to have, you can wash it all you want, but there are still going to be pesticide and herbicide residue in some of the produce that you eat. So if you stick to the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen, it's a much less slippery slope, but take the time to wash them. Okay. And we can't say it enough, for heart's sake. We tried to come up with all these clever phrases because it's on a video call instead of in person, but it's better to eat a plant, even if it isn't organic, than not. No food, bite for bite, is better for your body than fruits and vegetables. And that is really not necessarily the American way. Have you ever noticed there is not a fast food restaurant that serves only fruits and vegetables served in a healthy manner? I mean, I'm a normal person. Some might argue that, but I think I am pretty normal. And we're just not encouraged very much to take this path the most. I am proud of my youngest daughter because, believe me, she eats bowls of things that I have to ask her what's in them because they're so green and dark green and leafy green and all of this. And my other daughters as well. All my daughters are pretty clean, healthy eaters, and they are having an impact on me because I grew up in a meat, potato, and vegetable era, but that's still not 5 servings a day. My mom did a pretty darn good job, and I am back on a healthier path. Okay. We want to give you other resources. We always want to do that so that you can do the research yourself. I always encourage people that are listening, if you find that I said something on this presentation that you found some counterintelligence, as I like to call it, we want to know because we are open to that. That's what the community does. It keeps us safe. And I get called out if we put something on Facebook and someone has done more research than I or looked at Snopes. I've been caught, not much, because I have a pretty good team that are vetting the things that we put up. But these are great sites to look at. I still am an environmental working group fan, and it does have its detractors. But overall, in 15 years that I've been looking at it and 12 years as Mrs. Green, I still think it's trustworthy. And this one at the bottom that my daughter Katie found, Safe Fruits and Veggies, it's a really great resource. It's a new one, and there's some videos on it. So what can be more important than taking time for your health? Another thing I like about EWG, I have the app on my phone, or they'll send you a card with the clean, the dirty dozen and the clean 15. They want the consumer to be aware. They want the buyer to be aware. They don't get any kickback for it. And they make it easy. And for me, I want it easy. I'm like most of the people in the world. Don't make it hard for me. Don't make me search through 13 pages of research. Help me make it easy. Okay. I think I did it, Maya. I'm close to the 20-minute mark, and this is always something that we want to put up here. We invite you warmly, lovingly, sincerely to become a member of our community, and that takes many forms. The best way, in my opinion, is to sign up to get our newsletter. It's informative. It comes out like clockwork once a month. The one that's coming out today is written by a research student at the U of A, a doctoral candidate who is now working for FEMA. And it's about your house is on fire. And of course, our house being the earth. So we have guests that come, and it would be wonderful if you would join some platform of Mrs. Green's World to keep your education going. So I did it without going 10 minutes over. Yay!
So Gina, share with us what your website is so that people can find you.
Okay, the website is mrsgreensworld.com. I'm going to put this back a little bit, but it's funny that that's not on there, but mrsgreensworld.com. I guess I think everybody knows that. How awful of me, but it's very simple.
So they can sign up, they can listen to your podcast there and see all the latest news. Can they also sign up for your newsletter there as well? I would assume.
Everything on that page. And Maya, I'm glad you brought that up because in the COVID world, I've listened to more podcasts since March than I have maybe in my journey of Mrs. Green because I get really tired of the bad news and I'm using them. Kelly from my team and Katie and my other daughters, they send us podcasts and I listen to them. I fell asleep last night listening to one. So my podcasts are really good. The quality of the guests, really good. What? All the links are clickable. Okay, and all the links on the presentation. See, I have got tech support right behind me. All the links on the presentation are clickable. They're all live. And I just thank you for being here. And now, Maya, are there questions? Thank you for clarifying that because we want people to continue education.
So I do have a couple of questions. Well, one, I want to talk a little bit about the soap. Okay, so I know we see a lot of rinses out there these days. And so just using water is really what is truly recommended, correct? Because I mean, you're saving people money, right, Gina? Because at this point, you really don't need to purchase an additional product to clean your produce, is basically what you've indicated.
I stand by that. Yes.
Okay. And what should you do if you have some of those things on the list for the Dirty Dozen? Because there's so many great fruits and veggies on there, strawberries. I mean, it's purchasing organic. If you don't purchase organic, is there anything, just extra precautions that you should be taking if for some reason maybe you can't afford the organics?
You know, to me, that's a great question, Maya. It's all about quantity. If you're eating 3 dozen strawberries every day, your risk factor has been increased. If you're making strawberry shortcake in the summer, minimal. But if strawberries are a regular part of your diet, this is what I encourage people to think about. It's reframing our brains. We all have budgets. Think about what you might substitute that's a guilty pleasure in your budget for making a more organic choice. And let's be honest, it's not going to make a $10 difference. It really isn't. It's usually $2 to $3 more. And unless it's meat, which USDA certified meat is much more expensive. So what's the message there? If you're Mrs. Green, eat less meat. But really and truly, that's why I said in the beginning, don't be alarmed. Just be aware. So if you have a flat of strawberries in your refrigerator, wash them and be aware for the next time. And I will tell you, I don't usually plug businesses, but if you have a Costco membership, they helped move the planet forward unbelievably by embracing USDA certified organic in massive quantities, which brought the price points lower for all of us. So that's a good thing to, just put in the back of your mind.
That's great information. So everything that it comes in that has USDA organic is labeled. Is that correct? Like if you go to a grocery store, you'll be able to find it.
Yes, it's even on bananas. I mean, you look and it has that little symbol, USDA certified, and it's pretty, sometimes it's pretty tiny, but it's there. And if it's not there, it's probably not USDA certified. If it just has an organic label, and that's a whole nother conversation because there are farmers that don't have that certification, that don't use pesticides, but they can't afford to go through the process to become USDA certified. But that's a presentation for another day.
That's good to know. And obviously, I know when you go to the grocery store, Trader Joe's or Sprouts, you typically will find sections that are their organic section as well that people could be watching for.
Yes. And another good tip to add to that, if you buy things in season, which is typically not what we do either, everything's available all the time. And when I was growing up in the dark ages, that was not the case. We ate seasonal vegetables. So if you buy things in season, it typically will result in a healthier purchase. Fresh, not shipped, and the beat goes on. And farmers markets, another good idea, but do your homework with them as well.
Excellent. Now, I have one other question here, and that's about the Dirty Dozen. How often does the list change? Is it something they look at annually, or is it something that they are constantly updating?
It's annual. And it's because it is really an exhaustive study. If for those of you that go in and take the time, you will be amazed at what they do. I mean, they have a team of scientists that just start, the day after, probably before the report is published for 2020, they'll start looking all year and they're sampling all year of what they have to go and get the produce that's from this year and studying it. And it typically, I'm not sure, Katie might know, it typically comes out, I think, at the beginning of the season, like maybe February or March, but I don't have that at the top of my head. But it's a really great website to visit and spend some time on because it just will educate you.
And I would like we will share that website in the comments sections for everyone, because I do think it's important. I know you mentioned that they produce a card with the Clean 15 and the Dirty and the Dirty Dozen, right? So
this is a great website. It's a little card that I used to download before I became modern and my kids talked me into an iPhone. But there's a printable version. There's a downloadable version if you have a smartphone, which my husband does. My husband doesn't, so he has the card. And then I was asked to clarify by someone on my team. The USDA does the research. Department of Agriculture. Sorry, I've got support team here, people, and you want to get the best information. So the Department of Agriculture does the research, and they're the ones that say this is USDA certified. They don't take it from the EWG.
Okay, well that is wonderful. I appreciate all the information. I think that was the last question that we had today, Gina. I want to thank you for being here. Folks, if you have any questions or you watch this presentation afterwards, please feel free to leave a comment and we will try to get those answered for you as well. I know Mrs. Green is more than happy to answer any additional questions that come in. We will also share this presentation with the folks that registered today so that you have a copy of the PowerPoint with the active links. So stay tuned for that, and I will email that out to you as well. Gina, thank you so much for being here. I was so great to see you.
I love it. I just love it. I love spreading the good green word, so I'm honored to have been asked.
Thank you. All right. So, folks, we will see you for our next presentation. Looks like we've got a couple of presentations next week. And thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you.